Good evening, guys. Yes, good morning. I see it's after midnight. Oh, just right on midnight. Wow. Boy, yeah, 12 o'clock, midnight, right on the nose. Boy. Well, yes, good morning. And I hope you all who are watching are having a very good day. I'm prompted to do this video. Um, I actually have my monitor on across from me. I was watching these court hearings from this so-called doctor, Dr. Larry Nasser, I think the name. I just heard about the man yesterday. He's an Olympic um, doctor, what do you call it? Sports medicine doctor for the U.S. Olympics. And I was listening to I'm sorry, I keep moving the monitor here, I'm sorry. The, what I'm watching is the testimony, it's a hearing, and the guy was found guilty, and he admitted doing these horrific things on his patients. I'm going to just briefly just say what happened. This so-called doctor, he befriended people, the people of the community, the sports community. He was well liked. He had this facade of trust, and he had gotten access like he worked in the gym with these gymnasts, female gymnasts. And if, these young gymnasts, the type of stuff they do, they're going to have sprains, strains, broken bones, disalignment, etc. And so you're going to need a doctor that's going to put you back together. Well, this doctor, Dr. Dr. Larry Nasser, I'm just kind of horrified, but I feel it's important to share about this. And again, you could just go on YouTube like I just did, and just watch the testimonies of these women. He was found guilty. So what they're doing now, what I'm watching, is the witnesses are appealing to the judge, who's going to decide what his sentence is. So in helping to find what his sentence is going to be, by listening to what the victims say and how it impacted their lives. And so what this doctor had did, I'm in utter shock, because he did these things even at times with the parent there in the room, but he blocked his body. He had the child, okay? Some of the children were 6 years old, up in their teens. And with gymnasts, these female, yes, so good evening. Yes, I'm talking about this gymnastics doctor, a sports medicine doctor, who did horrific things to these little girls, ages 6 up to their teens. And just my feedback on it. What this doctor had done, and again, he had the same MO. He had taken, like a girl had a rib that was kind of out of alignment or something. So he puts he used his adult-sized hand and inserts his finger with no glove on in this little girl's vagina and rectum. I don't know how that's supposed to be, and he calls it treatments. He was highly recommended for years, about 30 years, I think he was doing this. He did it to countless women, and with this hearing that I'm looking at right now, there's over 100 women that complain about this guy that is documented. And just imagine the hundreds of more who did not come forward. So I commend the ladies that came forward and put it on record what this monster had done. And this is a married guy too. He's married and he has two girls. And this man would befriend families. And some of the families had even said, oh, you have to babysit his children. All manipulation. And you had people with these young children, some of them had came forward and reported to their parents, and the parent chose not to believe their own child. But they're going to believe this man because he's a so-called respectable physician for the Olympic team, women's gymnastics. And I'm sickened about that. Listening to the testimony of these young women, the stories of these young women were very, very telling. And I thought it took bravery, such bravery, to repeat just what they even said. It was horrific. And it took so much courage of these women to tell the court what this pervert did. It's a real wimpy looking guy. And he's doing these things even in the room with when the parent was in there. What he would do, like, okay, the parent could be in the room, but he'll position his body. And again, if you're covering with your own body, and the parent cannot see where your hand is going. And he violated these young girls. And again, with, I mean, he had no gloves on, medical gloves, and he's going in both holes. And so it made me feel like almost like a flashback. I was molested as a child, and it seems like when you get molested, and in my case I was molested by family members, somebody don't want to believe you either. So I understood how the girls felt. And these seem like really nice people, these children, and now many of them are adults. And these things had happened over years, some of them for years. And one of them, the girl's parent, insisted that she'll go even in his home. And they just didn't want to believe. Parents, you have to start believing your children rather than believing some so-called famous doctor. And he had it down to a science, because no one really questioned him. But slowly but surely, things got said, the right ears heard. And I would say, like, see, I think what's going on with these doctors, see, you notice it's always seems like these high profile people who seem to get the most trust, but they seem to be the most perverted. Even though this, people were complaining about this doctor, Dr. Larry Nasser, and he worked in a university. And you notice with, it's my understanding that, men talk, people talk, and it's almost like an this is just my opinion and speculation, but it's my opinion speculation that these top colleges, they allow these so-called professionals and doctors to violate, especially these young girls, even college, these young college girls. Um, the girls had also talked to the women that worked there, the women coaches. Oh, that they would say that that's a lie. Oh, I know this man. People talk, but they chose not to listen because of maybe uh, it's part of like the initiation. I feel it's like a trauma-based mind control type of thing. When I watch all these different videos about how people are traumatized, it's all the same type of theme to break you and to insert your finger without a glove on in both orifices of a female. It's to traumatize. And then once you traumatize, then you can control them. See, that's the theme. It's about control. Control these little girls. So you make them into robots. And some of these people, they mentioned this one woman who actually committed suicide. So I started really thinking, I started to get angry inside, watching and listening to these brave women share the account of the multiple rape, it's rape of these young girls. It is a rape culture. It's like, let's see how I could traumatize somebody, a little girl or teen, and completely control their lives. Yes, I stood up for myself. Wonderful, wonderful, yes. We as women, we have to speak up. We have to speak up because we need to be heard. And when enough of us speak out, the right ear eventually. So you have to, see, I guess it's like when you strain out a gnat. When you strain out something, so some of those dreads are going to get past and it's going to stain and become noticeable. So keep on speaking your truth because you're not alone. There was hundreds of girls. And these gymnasts, these people in gymnastics, the little girls, they're very tiny for their size. Yes, they're tiny, tiny, tiny. And for adult men to do that, it's on YouTube. I'm just watching it. My monitors, I put it on pause right now. I say, I've watched it for 2 hours. It's the whole hearing. So you're going to hear many testimonies of these girls, and some of them are women already, and many of them are still minors. And they're sharing their account. It's the same story, the same thing, the same MO. And I'm sharing this video. I feel like almost like post-traumatic stress disorder, listening to the testimony of these women, and how my own body is responding, listening to it, because it's re-traumatizing me. And I want to speak out. I want to speak out like, I hope the right people hear this video, this live stream. I have, I was violated, and this person is still not, he only did 4 months, and he has access to children. And even though, and I spoke about this before, and this pervert, and is married, and this person this person is married to a doctor, and they're covering for him. Um, I was just about to curse. I gotta keep my calm. But I'm angry because people, even when you do complain, because the authorities know, because I made sure I left a big paper trail. Yes, I made it. You have to make a paper trail. See, maybe this family member that only did 4 months of jail time, not even prison, because see, the statute of limitation was up, and he had violated his own biological daughter. I still get angry, and so, you know, so what you're seeing now with me is anger because of that he has access again to children. And I see like his new family, what is the, okay, it's hard for me to read, I don't have my glasses on, but yeah. See, to get away, but see, you can only get away for so long. And I hope he slips up again. And I made sure I left a lot of crumbs along the way. So if his new family, those two girls, find out about the, see with these gymnasts who are violated, they didn't fully understand what was going on. They knew that something was wrong. But they said, well, this is a doctor, and everybody praises this particular doctor, Dr. Nasser, Larry Nasser. And so they just couldn't believe it. It was like what they call cognitive dissonance. Like, even though it's happening, but you're in denial. And so I think his new family, his two new daughters, are in denial, but they're real big. They used to be very petite little girls. Now they're about the size of a football player. Why they got so big? Well, one of the symptoms when you're being molested or raped, and these girls were digitally, at least one of them was digitally molested. That's why I'm saying it. And you know something? You know something? If this creep and his wife sees this video, I don't know whether it's these people who, like, some of the videos I've been doing, I told you that I had these real symptoms, like I was being targeted, what they call the TI, with, I had gotten targeted in a restaurant, with a family member, and I think I was targeted in my apartment. Fuck it. Okay, excuse my French. But if these people see it, or another family member sees it and want to cause trouble and instigate because they're not man enough or woman enough to approach that person, and if you want to target me, like the targeted victims, and use those EMF, electromagnetic frequency, to zap me again, well, fuck you and fuck your life. And I dare you to come after me again with this. I hope you know something, I hope you see this video And I hope, see, I, I know I'm loved by the Creator. And that's what's permitted me to say this. You know, and I can't legally really say your name. I could do that, but I'm not, because those little girls are still living in your care. And whoever who targeted me in May of this year with a weaponry on me, shame on you. I want to shame you like that guy, that Dr. Larry Nassar, the pervert who molested all these little girls who are gymnasts. And you know, I used to want to be a gymnast. So that's also why it hit me so hard, you know, this case. So you have perverts out there. And I left the crumbs out there so that when those little girls realize that what this creep is doing to their body is a no-no and it's wrong. It is wrong for your parent to put their finger in your vagina or your rectum. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. And for those people who know what's going on and fail to protect, you're just as comparable. You're just as in the wrong to know and don't say. Just like those doctors, the coaches. Some of them were female coaches, and said, "Well, no, you're a liar," because I know him. See, it's a lot of people who did come forward, and they failed to protect those girls, because I really think this is all part of. You all heard of Pizzagate, and what's that other thing? Pizzagate, Pedogate. See, they're all related. It's all about taking somebody's innocence and violating it and trafficking them and messing them up and making these women into robots. I acted like a robot for years, and I'm still trying to break through with the things that happened to me. And I think what's happened in this video, see, when you start to get angry, then you're more brave and able to speak out. I know I have to be careful because of legalities and things like that. But, you know, anger is healthy. Anger is a very healthy tool to have to express yourself rather than keeping the anger in, get it out. And so I'm hoping that people who watch this video, male or female, either sex could be violated, you know, but in this case it's dealing with women. That it also seems like I notice when people get violated at an early age, it seems like that there's a signature put on you, so to speak, energetically over your body, and that other perverts seem to know when someone is violated in that way, and then they try to violate you. And that's also what happened to me. Yeah. And I, like I told you guys, that I was in the military. And you have perverts, that's right, I should also put that in the description. You have perverts in the Veterans Hospital and wicked practitioners in the hospital, in the VA hospital. I went to the one in St. Albans, Queens, that's in New York. I went to the one in the Bronx and the main one in Manhattan. And you have weirdos in these places. I went to this I went to the one in the Bronx because I didn't want to go to the one in Manhattan at one point. This was some years back. I wish I could, I wish I knew his name. What I might do, because I'm really, this is all, again, I have to come out of my shell and out of my shame and to really out these, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I had gone to this doctor in the Bronx, and um, I had pain in near my private part area. It's not my private part, but the muscle, I'm sorry, right in your inseam. And he was some type, a foreign guy. I don't know what he is. But I did, since that incident with him, I've seen him. Now he's at the Manhattan Hospital, VA hospital. And I had this pain, and he was on like the phone, just talking. It's on the phone, it's on the keyboards, and he comes over and he's like examining near the area where I'm in pain. So because his hands were bare and it's near my private part, I said, "Excuse me, um, could you please put on gloves?" And you guys out there on YouTube, you know basically how I talk and how I come across. And I'm not a rude person. I care about people's feelings. But I would like someone to put gloves on, especially if they're bare hand that's on the telephone, which people cough on, and the keyboard people cough on, sneeze on. You don't, and you're dealing with many, many patients, you're more prone to germs. So I asked him nicely. And this doctor roughed me up. And and there was a woman in that room. This woman was one of those type of scared women. You could see her. She looked very frightened of the doctor. So he didn't care because this woman is not, whatever what her issues are. And I told him to stop. I was yelling. I said, "Please stop it. You're hurting me. You're hurting me. Stop it." "Oh, why stop? Why? Oh, I gotta." And he's going on and on. Okay. Yes, they say they have germs. And yes. Yeah, you better put on gloves. And in the VA hospital, they have signs to put on gloves. And if the doctor doesn't put on gloves, you can report them because it was getting bad. See, they don't respect the veteran. That's what I'm saying here. A lot of these institutions that they're supposed to represent, like they're supposed to represent the health of the veteran, and they don't. And so I'm angry with this doctor for doing that to me, because I think it was the hernia that I was getting. He had to press on my stomach, the lower right side of my stomach, and that could be actually where I was forming a hernia. And he pressed on it deliberately to cause me pain. I don't know how he did, but he always put his hand through where, almost where my back is. He pushed down that hard. And he started gritting his teeth and saying, "Well, I gotta find out, this guy." He flipped out on me. He literally flipped out this doctor. Maybe I should, do that. Write a letter. And then tell him why I'm writing the letter to the VA hospital. And to find out who that doctor was. And I will be able to point him out. And he's still practicing. I think I bumped into him a year or 2 years ago at another VA hospital. I don't think he recognized me, or maybe he just didn't care, but I saw him. And then another time, a doctor, it was yes, they need to be exposed, yeah. So what happened, this other doctor, oh, I forget what I went in there for. for, like basically when you go into the ER, they take your vitals, and then you talk to the doctor, right? The nurse takes the vitals, and then the doctor. So they took my vitals, and then this guy in scrubs, I thought, I did not know he was a doctor. He didn't have anything tag, whatever, that he was a doctor, and he tells me to go in the room. So I'm sorry. So I go in the room, and then he says, "So take off your blouse." So I was like hesitant. Who's this guy? Because they already did the vital. What does that? Why does he have to do that? So he pulls open my blouse. I said, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "Get the nurse." I'm so glad I was brave enough to say that back then. And then he brings in the nurse. Okay, they have I get the exam or whatever what else he had to do. Um, and with me, I like to get copies of my doctor's report, not for any bad reason. It's just, you should have a copy of any exam or lab, whatever, for your own personal records, because let's say you have to go to another doctor. Oh, do you have a copy of that report? Oh, yes, Dr. So-and-so, here it is. So I went to get a copy of that doctor's visit, and I see the doctor lying about a particular thing that when he came in the room with me, that he always had a nurse in there. And I complained too. I was shocked. He was covering his behind and lied in the statement. But there is a female coordinator at the VA hospital, and the one in Manhattan, that's in New York City. And nothing came of it. And then I'm remembering, what was that now? Yeah, this was recent. Yeah, I should write them all up. This one I think was a year ago or 2 years ago. It was just a general exam for dermatology, and it was a female dermatologist. She was we call it like an intern, a resident. She was wrong about not telling me where she was going, who she was getting. She said, "Oh, could you excuse me? I'll be right back." Then she brings in this male doctor, who's her superior. And he brought in a male assistant, also someone who's like an intern, a resident. And he's going over, certain parts of my body, which was okay. And then guess what he does? He pulls down. He goes and pulls down my panty off, real fast, and then puts it up. And I felt such shame. Why he do? Not even the lady asked to move my panty. What was the need to do that? It's a power thing. It's a power thing that they do. And I had since gone back there for the dermatologist, and I remember saying, I said, "Oh, thank God it's I had another resident. I'm not sure if it was the same one. I don't think it was the same resident, but it was a female. And she said, I have to get the so and so in. I said, oh, I hope it's not that guy. They said, oh no, this is a lady doctor. I said, okay, you can bring her in the room. Yeah, I was going to say something if it was the same guy. I said, no, that other guy, I don't want in the room. It's a lack of respect. And then my earliest complaint with the VA system, the hospital, was the one in St. Albans, Queens. And I had gone in there to the VA hospital, the one in Queens. I had gone through this trauma. I was being re-traumatized from a sexual harassment at the job that I had. I was being harassed for months. My health was deteriorating. This was many years ago. Um, 25, it was in 93. So that's 20, about 25 years ago. And it's 2018 now. Okay, so I was feeling at my lowest. I had a lot of medical issues. And so I thought, let me go talk to someone, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. So I went to talk to someone, and I think it was told it was going to be a woman doctor. Well, get this. This was a black female doctor. And I made mention of this story before in my past videos, but I'm going to repeat it again. Yeah, I don't remember the name of this doctor, but it was a very dark, excuse me, I'm sorry, I keep shaking the monitor, my apologies. It's a dark-skinned, black female American doctor, very overweight. And when I walked in the room, now here, I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress from all this stuff that happened to me. And she knows, she has my record, my file. And I thought I would see, I thought I was going to be in good hands because I'm with a woman. And here, this is a black female doctor, okay? She looked at me with disgust, like I was a parasite. She has prejudices against me. I don't know whether it's because my coloring is not the same as hers or whatever what her issues were. But she was hostile, and I got re-traumatized while talking to a licensed I think she was a psychiatrist, okay? And this is in a black neighborhood in St. Albans, Queens. That's a black neighborhood, okay? And that's probably why they have a black doctor there, because it's in a predominantly black neighborhood. It's a very residential area, and so she's there to cater to the needs of that population group. And it's not that many female veterans either. So that's also probably why they have her. And then they did that. She did that to me. I get home feeling more shame. Then I get a phone call from her assistant, female assistant. Oh, we apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we really want you to come back. Hell no. I never went back there again. Never. This was that was in 1993. So anyone who knows who I'm talking about, I'm giving the date. That was in 1993. She was either the psychiatrist or psychologist. She was a doctor. Okay, for trauma. Okay, so I described her enough, and that's what happened to me. And I hope she sees this video too. Or hope someone could out her name. So that's what happened to me. Hell no, I won't go back either. Yes, shame on her. This is a black woman. And she was married to a white man, because she was telling me, and I don't know why she's telling me things that she should have been telling me that has nothing to do with my sexual trauma. But she was harassing me, verbally beating me up. And I'm angry at her. And then, I know some other and then more fast forward, because that was 25 years ago. Then I go to, I forget when, this was maybe no more than 10 years ago. Oh, I think, maybe 7 years ago, I can't remember now. But I was living here in this city, but I didn't want to go to the Manhattan office, because they were just getting weird. So I wanted I wanted to talk to a counselor, and I wanted a female therapist. Even because I feel okay, maybe 25 years ago was 25 years ago, um, but I really want to talk to someone from my community. Nothing wrong of a white therapist, whatever, but I just wanted for a change, have someone that kind of looks something like me or similar type of environment, just something. I was really hurting emotionally, okay? And so the so I said, look, I really would like a black American therapist to talk to. I didn't think that was a bad thing to ask. And the person who is on this phone, who I was talking to initially, was the a black female. She was a psychiatric nurse, okay, but she doesn't want to disclose that she's a black woman. I didn't know what she was, but I later found out. But she doesn't want to help me out with my request for a female therapist, someone who I could talk to of my background. Okay, okay. I guess she's ashamed of what she is, whatever. Or I says, oh, she's too professional to just work with black people. Okay, black female veterans. So then I went there in person to request a black therapist of some type, or social worker, someone of color. And then they made me feel like initially like I was bad. I felt like I'm ashamed. I'm to be ashamed because I want to talk to a black therapist of some type. And then I forget the sequence of events, but they finally they said, okay, we have a someone that you can talk to. So I was really happy about that. And I walk in, it was actually the same lady that I initially talked to over the phone. And it was the psychiatric nurse in the Bronx. She was like about my complexion. She could have been around my age. Okay, this is a couple of years back. And when I walked in her office, she looked at me with disdain, like a prune, like this, like that. That's how she looked at me, like that. And I was talking to her, and she wouldn't budge. She didn't want to talk to me, not at all. And I'm in pain, emotional pain, but she didn't want to talk to me, because how dare she be the one there, because just because she's black, she doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to be used as a black therapist to help out a black patient, because she's too important. Okay, that's what happened to me. I said, why is it's from bad to worse. And then some of these other doctors at the VA hospital, there are a lot of foreign doctors. And like if you want to talk to a therapist, you have to go through a whole chain of evaluations and stuff like that just to be issued someone to talk to. And so if you haven't seen someone in years, you have to go through the process all over again. And one time at the VA hospital, this could have been the one in Manhattan. I'm not sure now. But it was an Asian lady, from India. And I'm just talking to her. I was okay at the time, and I was just talking to her, and she looked afraid of me. I'd never done harm or did violence, physical violence of any kind. So my point of mention about her, what she was, see, I'm finding with a lot of the new foreign doctors that they don't like Americans, or they don't in particular like black Americans or Americans of color, and they view you like you are evil or something. So it's re-traumatizing the veteran. And then they get a lot of these residents to treat you I went to the VA. You said yesterday, the day before yesterday, for follow up on to find out about the test results. Yeah, they don't like us. Exactly. And I'm sorry, they get residents to go over my I mean, why would you get a resident if you had a problem, a physical problem of something, or X-rays, and then you have to get the final, like the technician isn't the one that gives you the results. They give the results, the technician, to the doctor. But rather than getting a good doctor, they get a resident to kind of like, what could they do? So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Their priorities. They should have, that person I saw, they did have a superior, and then they had me waiting for about 20 minutes. Like, he saw me, talked to me. He was really nice. The one I saw yesterday, the day before yesterday, very nice, pleasant guy. Then he said, I just have to give this paper to so and so, but he didn't tell me he's going to go over my report, whatever, with his superiors. It was almost a half an hour. See that? Without letting the patient know. He just said he had to drop off the paper. See that? They're sloppy. They're getting sloppy again at the VA hospital. And it has to stop. It has to stop with these, how they're treating the veterans and what type of doctors they have. And again, I find a lot of these new foreign doctors, they don't like us because it may be in their culture that they're considered important and I'm just a lowly person, and I think that's their mindset with some of them. And then they have this one lady, she's a gynecologist at the VA hospital in Manhattan. She goes to different locations. I don't know her name, but I was recommended to her from my primary care physician. I'm okay with my primary care physician, okay, but I had to see the GYN doctor, and she she's assigned to go to these so-called third world nations all over the world to who knows what about some type of, I guess, help doing GYN. Then she's going to tell me, okay, she was giving me wrong information. She wanted to push this medication on me for I think called a suppository, vaginal, things that if your vaginal canal gets too dry, you can use this cream, okay? She felt the need to tell me that, okay, even though I'm not in any relationship with anybody. But she feels the need to tell me that because if I am in the future. But it's an estrogen cream, and estrogen can cause artificial estrogen when introduced to a woman can cause and has caused cancer in many women. So I told her that. And I told her that I have this other gynecologist that I had seen in the past, and that gynecologist said to not use anything with estrogen, especially if you had fibroids. But she said no, estrogen artificial estrogen use on women does not cause cancer, and that it's a myth that it causes cancer. So I said, no, I said, I've heard this for years. Just no, it's just a myth. But I know it's not. But either way, I just kind of yes, sir. Because I just want to get out of there because she has to do her duty in instructing third world women, women of color, and this is a white lady, these problematic um, pharmaceuticals that cause cancer. So what happened? I had gone home. I went to visit somebody who had a television, the television on, and lo and behold, a commercial about that particular cream. I don't know what the exact cream, but that type of cream for women to use, in their vaginal canal with the estrogen, and they gave a whole litany of side effects that this medication can cause. And the last thing that they said that it can cause is cancer. So I had to go to my primary care physician for something. I said, and then she said, "Hey, did you see that lady, that lady who goes to different, third world places, and she teaches women about X, Y, and Z?" I said, "Yes, I did see her," and she gave me information that was problematic, and I told her about the estrogen, and that the commercial when I went to visit somebody, and that it causes cancer. And then it's like being hush hushed, you know? So it's a multiple of things. And I feel that it's all by design. And you see that the higher up you go in these people, the more sinister they are. And so I know I'm not the only victim of these people. And I'm also reminded, I say, this other incident that happened to me is going even further back. Sorry. I don't remember. I was in my 20s. I think I was raped or molested by a gynecologist. I kid you not. And I think that's also why I feel the way I do right now, listening to what happened to those female gymnasts being digitally examined and rectally examined by this pervert. I've had GYN exams like many women do, and um, I was good because I get back then I had bad menstrual cramps. And I've seen many doctors for this problem, and this was a male doctor. And then this doctor, again, a foreign doctor, looks like he's from South Asia, like from India, a place like that. And again, I have nothing, no, this is not a bias against people from South Asia or India, but I'm just mentioning what were the doctors from. And, you have your legs, ladies, what position you have to be in when you're having a pelvic exam or when they use the speculum. And so you can't really see what's going on. But, and again, prior to that examination, I've had GYN exams, and they're all kind of routine, but this one was different. And I walked out feeling traumatized. Something that um, he was doing for a long time, and like pressing downward. I felt like he was trying to stretch me down there in order to put something in there. And I'm wondering now as an adult whether he was putting something that shouldn't have been being put in there, if you know what I mean. It was a weird experience. And when I got home, I felt traumatized. and I told a family member about it, and I was shaky, and I talked to this family member about it not too long ago, and that person remembered and said that I had asked him to hold me, because I was feeling very traumatized. Yeah, you have creeps, these doctors, and a lot of these foreign doctors who want to violate some of these black women, women of color, because they don't like you. And it's a power thing. See, when you're coming from a culture who devalue women, and then they come to America and they feel like they're a big shot, because in their country they're small, but they get an opportunity to come into school in America. And so I think it goes to their head. That's why I'm making mention of it. Okay? And so it's not about being prejudiced about other people, but that there is a dynamics that could happen by some people who come from cultures that traditionally do not respect women and what they do to women. And yes, we have American doctors who don't respect women either, and doctors who don't respect children, little girls, and who rape them, like this Dr. Larry Nassar, who's being sentenced. He's to be sentenced for the rest of his life, if I heard right. Okay. I share all these things because I was in shame with a lot of things that I was experiencing. Um, it affected every aspect of my life. And again, when you're violated as a child, it seems like I think sexual violation is like an energy put on you, and other people could pick it up. So it's no wonder why I was violated by other people growing up, especially when I entered college, because then now I had to take the train, and I was violated on a train by these weird people. People touch, back then, this was in the early 80s. You have perverts. You have perverts in movie theaters. And that happened to me as well. So this video is really about speaking out rather than getting ashamed, because I walked in shame. It's speaking out. And I guess it's like the Me Too generation now. So hopefully this video, this live stream, is going to encourage other women. Who knows, maybe there's other women at the VA hospital in New York City who try to pull open other people's blouse or roughed them up, women up, because they asked for them to put on gloves and other things. Or therapists like the one in Queens, St. Albans, Queens, the black, fat uh, psychiatrist there, who's going to traumatize me, and they call their assistant, oh, please come back. No. And there were other doctors. This was maybe a year, no, 2 years ago. There was a special treatment for desensitization that I heard about. And it seemed really promising. And so I found a practitioner in the New York City area that does it. The first lady was booked, and she said, "But I have a name." We had the lady is telling me that they were trained together, and she remembered her name. She gave me the lady's name. She says, "You could get her information on the internet. I give you her name, and you can look her up." So I did that, and again, this was to be a black female, okay? And again, I want to give us a chance. And this black woman, and this is not about hating black women doctors either, but it's about that it can happen to anyone. That it doesn't matter what your race is. You have people who don't care, people who are in the medical field who shouldn't be in the medical field. And so I got the contact number for this practitioner, and everything, her telephone, her address, her doctor's code, what do you call it, insurance code, all these things, it's right there. And I called the number that's on it, and she gets offended because it was her home number. I don't know what her home number is. She gets all bent out of shape. She says, "How did you get my number?" I said, "Oh, I got it. I got your name from uh, Dr. So and so. You were trained together. You both were trained in this particular procedure." And she gave me your name, and I looked it up on the internet. I said, "All your information is on the internet," and I just called, and I'm looking for a doctor to do X, Y, and Z. Well, this is my home, and I have a I'm preparing for a dinner party of 30 people, and this lady's in New Jersey, okay? And I'm not going to give her name, but some black lady, she does this desensitization thing, and I forget what it's called, but it's like if you have certain traumas, they do like a desensitizing thing, and it removes it. Okay, so she's complaining about that. She's um, just about to have her dinner party of 30 guests, and how dare I call her house? I said I didn't know it was your house, and I was looking for a doctor, and you were recommended, and I wanted a black female doctor, and so that's why I called you. Well, call back tomorrow. Or that she called me. Maybe she called me back. Yeah, she said, "I'll call you back after my party." So she called me the next day, and guess what she was saying? "Oh, how did you get my number again?" I said, "Well, I already told you yesterday," and I repeated the same story. And she couldn't get over the fact that it's her house. That I called her house, and her dinner party was so important to her. I couldn't believe this. You have some weird people in the medical field who don't care. And I'm sad that you have black women who are in the medical field who don't want to take care of black patients. I'm also reminded about something else. There is a black psychiatrist organization here in New York City that had called up years ago. And you know what they said? It's only one of its kind, and you won't be able to find it. But I called them, and they said that I wonder why black people keep calling this number. I said, well, this is the black organization for black psychiatrists. So you'll be able to get it probably a black psychiatrist from this organization. That's why we're calling. They didn't want black people calling. Isn't that something? We don't like ourselves. That's why I'm making mention of this. Not even black therapists or doctors or professionals want to help other black people because it's more prestigious if you don't have black people, black people as clients. They just want white people for clients. And this happened again. I remember I was on the train, and I was a student back then. This is maybe 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And She's, again, a very dark-skinned black woman. And she's telling, for whatever reason, somehow we got in a conversation, and she's a therapist for Rikers Island. She's a black woman, as okay, I already mentioned that. And she's telling me this. She says, I'm not going to talk to any black people from Rikers Island. She's telling me that I specifically requested that the only patients that I'm to have are Hispanics and no black patients. And she is a therapist. And she's telling me that. So who's really the criminal here? You have people who are looking for help, like myself and many other women and men who are looking for the right help for the right type of doctor. But you have people who have doctors who are mentally sick themselves, like the doctor who was so-called treating these uh, Olympic gymnasts, these females, and who were uh, sexually violated by this guy. And this was a white doctor sexually violating, and most of these, the people that he violated were white women, white girls. So you have white men who are predators, and you have blacks who are predators on other black people or insensitive to their black patients. So I'm exposing all this to wake us up so that we stop violating each other, and that other people have experienced the same thing that I experienced will also speak out and out them in order to protect other people so that there won't be any more victims. There shouldn't be any victims. I don't want to be a victim anymore. And I don't want to just be a survivor. I want to be a thriver. My purpose of doing this live stream is to help produce thrivers, to thrive, not just exist. I don't want to just exist anymore. I have a lot of anger at times when I'm reminded about the sexual predators that have done harmful things to me, doctors who have done horrible things to me, and even the person that did, I almost forgot about this GYN doctor I went to, the last GYN doctor I went to. I don't remember her. It's like I have a mental block, and you notice I'm not remembering any of the names. She has this white hair. She's a relatively young. She's not. I mean, she looks older than she is. She's premature gray. Her hair is actually white. She might be maybe in her 40s, 50s. And her office was on 30-something Street, on the east side. Yeah, I think 30-something Street or 20-something Street. And I heard her name on the radio by this urologist recommending her. And what this doctor did to me, this female doctor did to me. Now she knows my background, that I was sexually traumatized over the years. She knows everything about me. I'm open with doctors, verbally, GYN. I was letting her know what my fears were. And so she had to in order to do this particular procedure, because I had to have a fibroid removed surgically, but she needed to do a pre-exam for the operation. But they had to put me under, to get it done, because I couldn't withstand the physical examination. And it's, I did not speak out when I saw it, and I should have, but I was scared, and again, the brainwashing, because you don't want to embarrass people, right? She had ladies, you know what a speculum is, the thing that they insert in your vagina. She had this mammoth size speculum. I said to my, when I walked, because I had to walk in the room, it was an operating room, but they were to do a pelvic and a pap smear on me. But they had this thing. I said, I hope she's not going to use that on me. That use that for an elephant or something like that. And then I've never seen anything that big. And I'm not a big person, and I've never had children, so you wouldn't require something like that. So why did they present that? And she knows my condition, so why would she allow that? They put me under, and I come out of it, and then I noticed in my underwear it looked like a stain in the underwear, like a little discolored, like a reddish, like a pink thing. I couldn't figure it out. Then I get home and I start bleeding from my vagina. She had torn inside the vagina with this thing and left some of the gauze inside my vagina. And she tried to hide it from me. And I called, oh no, they called me the next day. Because even though I didn't have an operation, but they had to put me under a light thing, like for 10 minutes, they always have to check, make sure everything is okay. And then the assistant said, oh, I'm just checking to make sure you're okay and everything. And by the way, she did have to use a scope in you. I said, scope? She had to put it inside. I said, oh, I didn't know that. Now, this is a nurse or assistant of a GYN clinic, and she's a woman, and every woman knows the difference between a speculum and a scope. So what was going on? Was she doing something, or implanting something in my body? Because I also made mention that I get these weird things in my reproductive organ inside, that this thing would vibrate inside where my uterus is. Did she put a device up in me that shouldn't be there? I never had it before. This sensation. So what happened? So I called the doctor. And the doctor said something that was so embarrassing to me. And I'm too embarrassed to even say this on air. And she's saying it real loud. She's in a restaurant. And again, she is calling me. She's returning my call. She could have called me after she ate and left the restaurant, but no, she's going to humiliate me by what she said verbally in front of the people at the restaurant. To me, it was so humiliating. And then she wouldn't give me the copies of my medical file. And then she asked the helpers of her at her clinic to harass me and not give me the file, to have me back off, and because she didn't want to see me. I should have reported her. I couldn't believe it. But I did have the operation, and it seemed like it went okay. But the things like this that happen, and I know I'm not the only one. I feel like I know I'm not alone. That you have people, again, who are being given awards being recommended on the radio by accomplished doctors. It's amazing. I hope people know who I'm talking about. A white lady, she had this white hair. She looked premature gray, slim, and she has her private practice on the east side. I don't remember her name. It's like a mental block that I have. Yeah, so I share all these stories and in hopes that those I see that I'm on for a while now, but I'm really getting it off my chest because I want to heal myself. I want to be heard, and I want those abusers of authority to be exposed and to be kicked out. Yeah, ladies or gentlemen out there who are being victimized by these perverted doctors, family members, or whatever, teachers, it's time to say, Me Too and expose those perverts. You got to report them. At least in your own way, let them know so someone can get help. So all you ladies and men who are violated, um, especially those ladies that came forward, those gymnasts who were brave enough to share their real personal horrors from this perverted man. You have so much courage, and I thank you for speaking out and to speak with such poise. I commend you, and I apologize for some of the bad language that I used on this video. I apologize to anyone that I offended by some language that I used here. Um, but some things have to be said. And again, I commend you ladies, those gymnasts who came forward and spoke their truth, and you were eventually heard. And shame on those institutions, those universities, and other women who covered for this perverted man in the worst way. Shame on you, ladies. And shame on you, people there, those black females. There's not that many black doctors out there. And for you to not even want to help a black patient and a black veteran, shame on you. Have a heart. See, that's why I speak the way I do on some of my videos, because a lot of you're in a la la land, and you hate yourself so much that you take your hate out on your other black community people. That's why I say the things I do. Be proud of the person you see in the mirror. Be proud of your race, whatever your race is, or your ethnicity, or your religion. Be proud of who you are as a human being, and treat other people like human beings. Because like they said, what goes around, what you send out will come right back at you. Start being a goodly person. Put good vibes out there to bring up humanity to a higher level of spirituality. I'm about spirituality now, and just breaking through the illusion of what we call race or religion and stuff like that. It's all about spirituality and awareness. That's what I really want to aim for. So I'm going to end this video, and I hope that you enjoyed what I had to share, and share your stories out there, because we need to hear it, because we need to encourage each other to speak your truth. Okay? Thank you again for listening and sharing your comments. Safety. Share this with your daughters, your nieces, your friends. Let other females and males know that it's not okay to be touched in a particular way, that their bodies are their own.